Welcome back to the quest for details. Here are the details. This is where we are hunting. These are burnt manzanitas. This is in landscape recovering. Unfortunately, it's recovered a little too much. We are in vetch season. They're one of the first things to come back after a fire, these little vetch peas, which is awesome because they're fixing lots of nitrogen into the soil for the next creatures. We have a post here, which was either telegram, electrical, something, but it had the old conduit, the old conductors on there. Insulators, is what I'm trying to say. Water pipe leading from uphill. So catching water and using gravity to make it have some pressure to get down to here. I think I see an old road cut these manzanita are growing in. Probably leads out to, I see metal sticking out here. We're using the Mine Lab Equinox 800. This looks like maybe the anchorage for some sort of tower. And, oh well. Okay. We have a well. Nice bend in the creek. Here's the low spot where they went down. And one big remaining tree. And so, under all of this, in theory, there will be some targets. This end of this field looks like at one point somebody with dump trucks filled it in. So, not as much showing. This is all miner's lettuce. This is also what's going on this year. This is all edible, this miner's lettuce, and it's growing that thick through California, everywhere. So the animals that were starving after the fires now suddenly are knee deep in salads. This is good num-nums. Make sure you know what you're eating. But that's some good stuff. That's what the mature ones look like with the flowers. A little later along. But in my opinion, the best are these early. Got soil over here. More oh darn it. Okay. Bones, cow bones. And yeah, this looks like a real compacted part of the yard. What do we have? Lucky log or no? Michelob, Anheuser-Busch, something like that. I see a little road slope going down here. Okay, so let's start in this area where it's lowest, and I think all of this here is all fill, unfortunately. Now it looks like a serious ledge there. So, we'll do this. And our first signal is, of course, a bullet. That was a 13 on the number scale on this Equinox. I'm in park mode 1, and we'll start there. My sensitivity is at 20, which is its factory setting, and I've changed nothing else. We're running in multi-frequency. Another bullet, a little bit older. This be a good spot to shoot deers in the creek. We're in a meadow. We're just shoot things. Here's our next target. I'll definitely get this out of the environment. It is lead sheeting. So thin that it's like almost Bible paper. Wow, a whole pile of it. Okay, we'll fold that up like a wallet. I'll get all these little pieces. That's micro lead. That can easily turn into micro lead. That's good, we got that. It's its own little... That's our deed. We'll haul that out. Okay. Chunk of lead. And we have a personal relic. Look at this delicate little hinge. It was reading a 21 like a penny would because it's thin copper. Look at the nails that went into it. Wow. So I wonder if that was a little hinge on a jewelry box, or what little lid that opened and closed. We have a relic. That for me makes the day. I'm glad that I came out. Yay! Older shotgun shell from when they were paper instead of plastic. And sure shot. Could date from the site of the house, but no way to really tell. But there was a house here, I believe. If anybody knows what that is, looks like it bolted down in a couple of spots here and here, and held a couple round things. Pretty heavy metal. What are you? No words. Here's our next little relic of sight. Another thin little piece, and a lot of this area is just going to be unsearchable. It's not only grown too thick, it just always has, and the berries are coming back, and it's gotten beyond us now, and these are all actually baby thistles that'll be chest high, and I'm not sure when the natural cycle will bring us to a point where we could get a detector close enough again. But look at the detail. Oh. Before the chance is lost, we've at least got this also. Lots of things changing here, as they always have. And yeah, on it goes. That looks like, because it's got a little flat rivet there and a little flat rivet there, it went on something pretty thin. Okay, well, we'll get that cleaned up. Remember, every hole that you dig is a trench, so it's always not only prudent to check it in case you missed any of the treasure you were looking for, but I was going around in this one, found a little bit of iron that I wouldn't have detected otherwise because I haven't discriminated, and it's the tip of a little square nail, which dates the site. So we know it was back in square nails days at least, and it gives you a chance to look into the profile of the dirt and see here the black or dark layers, and then the under layers more compacted. This is actually our thinnest area, so I'm working over it, and it looks like we have original soil within reach of the coil. So all important information to gather. Sorry that I'm using the Handycam today. It's sometimes easier. It's definitely less conspicuous than a big chest mounted. I have my GoPro either on the chest mount or on a big backpack. Next little thing out of the hole was exciting because it's round. It looks like it might have thread on this side, and maybe pattern or melted or corroded stuff on that side. Oh, wouldn't that be exciting if there was more to it there. Okay, here's our finds from this spot. Bullets, 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 pieces of cans, shotgun shells, fence staples, and a really cool little relic. So there's that, a little more cleaned up. Beautiful flower work. A little lid. It got heat exposed or something. Hinge. And that, not sure. Possibly bullet, not sure. So not bad. About an hour and a half there, fighting through the tall stuff. On to the next location. I'll see you there. Okay, now that's more like a button. We have button, we have button with shank. We have older button. We have button with something on it. We are so out of light, you're gonna have to forgive me. That looks like a man in a hat, or a woman. We'll clean it up here in a second. I need to find out what some of these other signals are. So glad I didn't leave when I found the first beer can. Wow, okay. Wow, day is made double. We have square now. And we have order rainbowed out glass. It's a good sign, it's a good sign. Square nails and shards. The square nails are ringing up really mid-tones on this site. Nothing we can do about that because that was the sound of the button. So on we go. Okay. That's H for Henry. Winehards. Now Henry Winchester. And that is a rimfire. See where they tried twice on that, so that puts it back maybe even 3 times? 4 times. Dang! So yeah, that bullet didn't want to fire. And they tried. That's a cowboy bullet. Stick 'em up. Way. Oh, you guys. Something chewed on that. Probably a pig or something took a little bite. A button and a musket ball. Okay, it's just not a typical day. You hear Woody Woodpecker in the background. Horseshoe. It got worn thin before it got whatever it got it. Something with a little ornateness to it. Oh, it's a lead cap thing of some sort. Sure gave just the most beautiful noise. Shows there could be anything laying on the surface here. Oh, why must the world spin and go away from the sun when I am just beginning to have my fun? What was that number? Did we just get a coin? We just got a super thin round thing, people. Wow, I don't even really want to rub that. What are we looking at? I don't know, it was ringing so low. Look how thin that is. It's gotta be a piece of a button, right? Yeah, it's just an iron, maybe a piece of a button. Back of a shotgun shell. There's a little logo. It almost looks. Take care of it, we'll clean it up and see what we can see. We have another rimfire. Oh, that is awesome. We'll come back to the site when it's not so spooky. Okay, so here is our cleanup on this hunt, and let me tell you, for being out here on the west coast, I do not get a lot of shanked buttons, and I do not get a lot of musket balls, for sure. That looks like it has been bit into by an animal tooth. We have pigs and turkeys and all kinds of things that root around and eat all the nuts that fall off of our trees, the acorns and such. Pigs being the primary ones, and they year after year go around under trees and root through and look for nut-shaped objects, and so you'll see bite marks in there. This is a big lesson for me in ballistics and bullets, because I've learned things that I had no idea about and learned other things that I'd heard about. So we'll kind of walk through it real quick here. We have, of course, a musket ball. I believe it's a musket ball. I think I see the sprue there. And then it's a little bit too big to be a buck ball from like a buckshot shotgun. So I believe that's an actual pistol bullets. So this would be relatively our oldest bullet here, our oldest projectile. So you have the casing on a bullet that, on a modern bullet, that holds the black powder, and then you have the projectile tip. Well, in the beginning, for those of you who don't know this or want to think about it again, the black powder would just be loaded into the barrel of the gun, into the musket or the rifle, very much like a cannon. And then something like this, a bullet, a projectile, put down into the barrel, and then it would be ignited, usually with some sort of wick or igniter. It would make the black powder go off and then shoot the bullet out of the barrel. So that's one of the earliest forms, a stone or a musket ball. After that, we started coming up with different bullets that had the black powder already loaded into a cartridge, into a container. And so there needed to be a way to ignite the black powder and cause the explosion to start, which would propel the bullet tip. So this is the part that stays in the gun and is full of black powder, and then these are the parts that actually fly away, the actual bullet. And then you have to take these out or they're ejected out. So, some of the ways that they came up with first to make them fire is that they would put a primer on the edge of the bullet, right inside the rim there, so they were called a rim fire. And so when the hammer, like you've seen on an old cowboy gun, would come down, when you'd pull the trigger, it would make a little lever come down and strike the back of that. And that would cause an ignition in the black powder, and it would launch the, just like a cannon, launch the projectile tip out. And so we actually have one of those here. And this has been chewed on also by pigs, but this is like an older solid lead bullet. You can tell by the patina its age, and probably actually goes with one of those style bullets. So we got two of those here. The patina on this one is just beautiful. And the H on the back of these stands for Henry of Henry Winchester, who was the maker of the company. And these are Henry Winchester rimfire from the right age and era and stuff. So to show you, we still use rimfire, but in the smaller calibers. I don't know if we use them in large anymore. I haven't ever seen that, so I associate them with only old, but I realize that our 22 caliber, our small caliber, still uses the rimfire, meaning that they don't have what most modern do, which is a primer in the middle, to where the hammer comes down and hits it in the middle, and there's a primer in the middle, and that ignites the black powder and shoots the projectile tip out. And you can see that for a long time it's been like that. Rimfire was invented around 1845, I believe, and basically in the 1850s the U.S. was switching from cap and ball to bullets. So that was from these from musket balls to the modern cased bullets that would have the rim fires. And I looked it up, and it said the center fire primer was first used in 1861, but really caught on in 1873 when Winchester came out with a center fire cartridge. So that leads us to these. This is what I was thinking might be some sort of button or something. Turns out to be a 12 gauge shotgun shell. So shotgun shells, which are now made out of plastic with a brass back, used to be made out of paper. And so the paper part would be much like this, the casing that holds the black powder, and then the little bullets at the end. They can be little or they can be larger. And when the primer gets struck in these, it does the same thing. It shoots the stuff out, and then the bullet is left behind. These no longer have the paper on them. The paper's long rotted away. That's one of the ways that you can tell that they're really old. And these are pieces from a company. It says London EB, and these are a special type of shotgun shell that I had never seen before. So this is a whole nother way to ignite the primer. So just you can think of the primer as like lighting the fuse on the cannon that then goes down and lights the rest of the black powder and makes the bullet shoot out. So in this, these are called a pinfire. So the hammer actually struck, instead of the rim or instead of a primer in the middle, it actually struck this pin on the side, which moved a little bit inside here, inside a little primer box, and that was the fuse that ignited it. And this is says London. I looked this company up, and these were produced from 1861 to no later than 1874. So these are a very old bullet. 1874 is as new as these would be, no newer than that. So we have bullets from the rifle that won the West, Winchester rimfires. We have pinfires from the London company. We have, these are actually very old center fires, center primers. We have projectile tip that probably went with this era. We have projectile tip that goes with this era. We have these are, you know, one of the rare shotgun shells I'm going to save, because not only are they old, but I learned something new. And I hope you did too. And then we have our beautiful button. I cleaned it all up. Most likely from the same era. We're lucky to have gotten it because it's a two-piece with the iron still intact. I wouldn't try and straighten that shank. We might rip the iron out, but other than that, feather in the hat. Not sure what that is. I tried to look it up. I typed in a dozen different phrases: hat, button, bust, all kinds of things combined, and could not, after many hours, find any like images. But it is what it is. It's beautiful. This, I'm not sure what it is. If anybody recognizes it, leave it in the comments below. It folds once that way. I'm not sure if it always did. It folds under, and looks like it held something, I don't know, with the little edges on it. This is just one of those really heavy, overmade, probably a pewter cap screwed onto something, not sure what. I'm always amazed by the thickness and the heaviness of even just the caps. So, mostly bullets, but an incredible bullet day. Bullets that we're going to keep in our collection for sure. This we actually didn't find. This one to show you a centerfire shotgun shell, as opposed to a pinfire or a rimfire. So pretty cool, or a musket ball. And yeah, so I'm out here, remember that we had a gold rush in 1849, which brought a huge rush of population from the East Coast and swelled up in multiples and multiples the amount of people on the land. And then before that, we were very sparse out here. So really cool to find these things this far west, to find them in the context of the Wild West, and to learn that much about some bullets. Thank you for joining me on the quest for details. I think we have detailed this little hunt enough, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.